Hello and welcome, Dota fans, to the first ever edition of FletchDota, your weeknight source of anything and everything Dota 2 related. I am, of course, and always will be, Fletch, your purveyor of infinite wisdom throughout this journey that many refer to as the metagame. How you doing, guys? This is the first ever episode of FletchDota. This is episode 1. June 23rd, 2014. I have, of course, been planning this. I've had this in the works for over a month. I've had setbacks. I had people that wanted to work with me and just didn't exactly work out. And so here I am. I finally just said, you know what? It's Monday. It's time to go. And we are going to get this show on the road. This is like a baby that's been festering within my uterus for the past 5 weeks. I have just been growing it and nurturing it throughout my own body. And now I have birthed it unto all of you, this slimy little lump of flesh that's whining and waiting for you to enjoy it. I hope you have as much fun throughout this as I do. I am excited, guys. I am hyped, and I hate the word hyped, but I am hyped. I am overjoyed, and I am jubilant, and I am many other words that all describe the same thing. I need the thesaurus.com. I can't even get the words out of my mouth. They are flowing so fast. I am like a shaken up can of Mountain Dew blasted with a 22 rifle. I know that's like smallest caliber bullet I can think of, but hey, you know what? Actually, there's 17s. There's 17, so we can go smaller. No, we're shot by a 22. It's like a shiny green rocket shimmering across the sky. That's how I feel right now. I am your shiny green rocket, and I am here to bring you Dota 2. So first of all, let me get this show off right. What is FletchDota? What is it supposed to be? What does it mean to me? And most importantly, what does it mean to you, the viewer? Because without you guys, without y'all being here in the chat, watching the show, then there's not really any reason for me to be here. So here we are. And I want to hear from you guys. That's the main thing. I want to hear, either you can tweet me at FletchDota on Twitter. You can tweet at me, say, hey, this is what I think should be on the show. This is what I want to hear about when it comes to Dota 2. This is what I want to see. You can send me messages, Gmail, my Gmail, masterfletch@gmail.com. Same as my twitch.tv, twitch.tv/masterfletch. Or you can just send me Twitch messages. It could be anything. It could just be a flame. You could be like, you suck. I hate you. Never stream again. Oh, and by the way, make sure to have this on the show next time. That's the important part. As long as you put it on, make sure to have this on the show. I don't care about all the flames before. I'll read them, of course. I will enjoy them. I will spend as much effort as you put into them, processing them for myself. So if you say I have terrible hair and I should shave it all off, then I'll at least take the time to read it. I enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoy the viewer interaction with you guys. And then secondly, what does it mean to me? What is FletchDota to me? This is something I have been working on over the past month. I've been putting together what I thought was lacking in the Dota 2 community. What did we need that we do not have? Because I wanted to produce some original content on twitch.tv. I don't have the time to be a professional Dota 2 player. There's many people out there that do that, and they're a lot better than me, guys. I can barely maintain 4K MMR. And that's when I'm actually playing Dota. The rest of the time I'm modeling, so I don't have any time for that. But what I do have time for is making a news show that we are lacking. We have plenty of news out there in Dota 2. We have anything from just regular esports sponsors popping up, new teams, player transfers, tournaments all over the place. So much money coming into Dota 2. But what we don't have is a compilation of news. What I think of FletchDota as is like, you guys have all these fine Dota 2 restaurants. You go in, you sit down, and there's like a menu out in front of you. You're like, what the hell? Which page do I look at? Where's the lunch specials? You don't even know what to look at in the menu. There's billions of items, and that's google.com. That's what we have for Dota 2 right now. Or you can go to one of the news sites like Join Dota or Gosu Gamers, and you're like, well, I got one news article, but now I have to filter through 100 more news sites. No, I want to condense it all, and I want to give it to you. I want to be the buffet of Dota 2 news, where you just come up and there's like a line full of nasty food, and you're like, well, I want that corn dog, and I want some fried chicken. And then you're satisfied for the day. So weeknights, Dota 2 news, as much as I can fit into a night, of course, within reason. I want to keep it about an hour long. That seems reasonable enough for me. If I can produce an hour of content every night, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. That's what I'm looking for from FletchDota. Now, of course, the name FletchDota. Where'd you get the name? Well, honestly, guys, I was kind of stumped for a name, and I was like, well, my Twitter handle's FletchDota, so I'll just be lazy and I'll just copy my Twitter handle and I'll call it the news show. Because, of course, I mean, I could go with something I consider kind of lame, like, oh, Dota Nightly News at 6, you know, channel 6 Dota News. No, screw that. That's boring. Yeah, it's been done a billion times on cable TV. This isn't cable TV. We are in the next generation. We have surpassed cable TV. We are now the internet. We have Anonymous here to troll us, although that's not possible in Twitch chats, unfortunately. I really wish they had allowed anonymous viewers in Twitch chats. That would just bring joy to my day. If you could have somebody stop by named Anon that just spams a large ASCII penis in your chat and then leaves. But that's not going to happen here. So on top of this, we have what I'm going to get to today. Tonight is Monday, which is going to encompass, hopefully, the weekend recap. I'm kind of trying to be thematic about each day of the week, Monday through Friday. That's my plan for the show. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going to take off. And then, of course, every single show will be compiled and placed on YouTube in a nice, neat little package. So if you miss a show, you can always come back. Just be sure to check out my YouTube channel. I think there's a link underneath the stream. Not too sure about that. We'll have to check that later because it might be some executive oversight happening. But what I do have for today, we're going to go ahead and start this off. So weekend recap. And this is kind of a little bit of a stretch for the weekend. A little bit of a stretch, but it's my first episode. So I said, you know what? This is too important to miss. I need to be able to place this on our Monday episode because I want to talk about this. Last week on Thursday, so not quite Friday, which I consider the weekend, but it's kind of hit or miss. Next weekend, we'll only cover Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Because Friday, I'll actually have a show, so I'll cover Friday on Friday, unless there's something late Friday night. But this week, we're covering all the way back to Thursday, June 18th. A huge Dota 2 update came out, and I'm going to go ahead and swap over to it really fast. I should be able to hit my scene here. Dota 2 update, June 18th, 2014. This is a huge update. And you guys might be going, oh man, yeah, they added some compendium stuff. Team matchmaking is all changed. You can queue with 5 people. And now it's a team roster. It's actually in the matchmaking system. And oh no, I'm going to queue a solo and I'm going to end up against Na'Vi. No, that's not going to happen. But you know, that's what everyone's going to be complaining about because people like to complain. That's what they love to do. So we've got team matchmaking. No, this isn't important. Interface. Who cares about the interface? The interface changes every 5 minutes. Now, of course, we got a new TI4 interface. It's like everybody changed to the green one for TI3 and everything. Camera zooms out and doesn't zoom anymore. Now you got to do the zoom in with the other thing. The zoom out's kind of cool. I'll be honest. I like the zooming out with Beyond the Summit. They've been doing a good job with it, showing the team fights. They're getting better at it. When they were first doing it, it was like the cool new feature. So they were just always zoomed out. And I was like, come on, dudes, we want to see the heroes. But no, now they're doing a good job with it. I've noticed in a couple of their latest tournaments that I've been watching, I think D2L is the Beyond the Summit when they've been streaming. They've been doing a good job with the zoom out, and it actually works really nice for some of the bigger team fights. I'm glad Valve finally added that. And the other thing I like is that when you zoom all the way in, it puts you at default distance now. You have to click the other thing to zoom in. Because I was like, oh wait, how will I get back to what's actual camera range? And I was really skittish about using zoom out, but then I realized I couldn't zoom in. You can't zoom in. You have to click the little button to zoom in. So that's really nice. They implemented it well, but Valve usually does that. No, what's important about this patch, guys, none of this stuff matters. Screw this stuff. What's important about this patch, let me just zoom in here. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. We have Bristleback bot. All I can think to myself is all of those pub players who've been playing those bot games at the 1K MMR bracket and are crying about ViperBot and the power behind the Viper and how he's just wrecking them, how he never misses a last hit, how he never misses harass. Oh man, the tears of the noobs are going to be littering the grounds of Dota 2 as Bristleback feeds upon their bodies. We're going to have the new Bristleback bot diving towers at level 3. He's going to be unstoppable. And just a sample for you guys of what we're going to be looking at with Bristleback bot. Playing with bots is infuriating. AI team lineup, dives, feeds, etc. Already, The QQ threads have been pouring into Dota 2 about the bot matches. Team lineup will decide the fate. Games are too hard. Bots can't deal with Warlock ult. They feed. I'm doing really well, but my bots suck. The other bots are overpowered. It's the same exact things you experience in Dota 2, and I can't help but think that the bots are just there to prepare you for the pub experience in the rest of the Dota 2 matchmaking system. Why does my team suck, but they're always so good? Well, maybe your team doesn't suck. Maybe you're like the big weak link. Team bots are always inferior to the enemy. Bots will retreat, then dive and feed. They will use their abilities to chaos instead of helping. I'm sure the enemy bots are doing the exact same thing. You just don't see it because they're not on your team. You can't see the enemy team. That's a feature in Dota 2, by the way. For those of you who weren't sure about that, it is actually intended. It is not a bug that you cannot see what the enemy team is doing. So you can't see them intentionally feeding, casting spells to KS, and stealing creeps from the enemy's carry. So this thread right here, I just imagine this only 100 times longer, with millions of people crying about how they did really good on a Nature's Prophet with a level 5 Dagon and a Shadow Blade, but the rest of their team was feeding, and they can't figure out why. Maybe because you never helped your team the entire game. You wanted to play Rat Dota, so they had to 4 versus 5. What do you expect to happen, dude? It's a Crystal Maiden. She's not going to solo an enemy team. But that's what we're going to see, and we're going to see it about Bristleback. So I am extremely happy with the latest patch coming out on the 18th of June 2014. This was this last Thursday. Meanwhile, what do we have over here? Another new feature along with the new things coming into Dota 2. Wickham has released, for those of you who don't know, or I guess it's Wickham. For those of you who don't know, this guy, I don't know exactly what he does. I feel like he works with Valve, but I've never entirely understood. He seems to just find these little things in Dota 2 and write up these detailed guides. So I'm pretty sure he's actually an insider at Valve, but this guy has been so helpful, specifically with me and a lot of the workshop stuff I've done and getting the Dota 2 model viewer to work, because it's kind of sketchy. It's hidden deep in the Dota 2 files. For those of you who don't know about the model viewer, if you want to view Dota 2 models and make your own little videos and stuff, go check out Wickham. And of course, right here, apparently my 2 on my numpad is a block button, but Wickham right here, and I should go ahead and follow him because this guy's pretty awesome. I'm actually not signed into Twitter, so never mind. Has released a new picture. This is for Dota 2, guys. This is for Dota 2. These are chat emotes that are going to be coming out that you can use in-game. So you can say something in-game and follow it up with like a blushing Crystal Maiden face, like, oh, sniper, please don't ult me like that. And then the little blushing Crystal Maiden. I'm not entirely sure. The Pudge is puking. We've got an angry Axe. I don't know if that's a happy or just a frustrated Anti-Mage. Timbersaw has a little bit of the case of the dumbs. And then, of course, how can you have Nature's Prophet without the deal with the glasses? I think this is an ode to Cyborg Matt coming out from Wickham. But again, this is all coming out. I'm not sure exactly when it's released. He just posted this a little while back. So there you have it. I don't know, guys. I'm really, really pumped for the recent changes coming to Dota 2. That's all in the upcoming patches. And I think that might be part of the pregame taunt package that Valve's been working on. It's part of the compendium stretch goals. I think we've had a few of those coming out. So, along with that, let me go straight into this. We're talking about the compendium in Dota 2. Dota 2 compendium. We gotta do our weekday check-in. What's the prize pool at? The prize pool of today, of course, is past $9.8 million. We go right over here. Dota 2 compendium, 9.879209. And of course, if you multiply that by 4, that's Valve's earnings. We've almost made $40 million for Valve. 10 million of it, of course, going back to the players that we all love and cherish. And here's the victory prediction taunt that's going to be coming out at $120,000. So those of you who haven't burned all of your money on the Steam Summer Sale, go buy some crystals. We just need to buy some of that Valve crystal, that sweet purple crystal that they've got waiting to pump up your compendium and give you those immortal items. And of course, have absolutely no effect on your gameplay other than you just patting yourself on the back and saying, I've got a really awesome item that I'm about to stomp you with. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that, guys. Enjoy your cosmetic items, especially because that's what I make. I want to make those for a living. I want you to buy them. So never think cosmetic items are a bad thing. I love cosmetic items, and I dress up my heroes too. I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing wrong with having your hero look exactly like you want it, except I just wear the best items. My heroes usually end up looking retarded. Like my Tidehunter, he's got I think he's got a shark and some sort of steering wheel broken across his head. Maybe a hammerhead for a club and then something dragging along behind him. I don't even remember. But it's just all mismatched items because I just wear the best quality and I delete everything else. Although now we don't delete. Now we donate to the compendium, the greater good of Dota 2. And maybe it'll give us something back, like 25 compendium points. Alongside that, with the recent prize pools, the annual World Esports Championship. This is WECS or WEC? I think it's just WEC. They have announced an $800,000 prize pool for all of their games combined. That's going to be Dota 2, StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, Hearthstone. I think that's all of their games. Maybe, I don't know if it includes League of Legends. I don't think it includes League of Legends. I think that's for everything else. So $800,000, that's the big thing in China that's coming up. I think it might be a worldwide tournament, but it's a big LAN event in Hangzhou, China. So they've got this nice little stadium set up there that they're going to be putting us all in. And I think that should follow. It'll be the second tournament to be held in a massive stadium following ESL1 Frankfurt. Of course, TI4 will be held in the Key Arena, not a stadium. There's a big difference between a stadium and an arena. Key Arena will be more of a concert style setting, whereas the stadium is kind of the seats are all around like a football stadium. Everybody's all hyped about the World Cup. I actually want to throw something out there about the World Cup. I saw today, I think that 8 million people worldwide were watching the World Cup. I want to see Dota 2 surpass the World Cup in viewer numbers. If we can hit 9 million viewers and be bigger than the World Cup this year, that would be amazing. Already our prize pool is almost $10 million. That's not just big for esports, that's big for any sport. You are now rivaling some golf tournaments, just baseball, football, American football, hockey. Like, you're a global competitor in the actual sports arena now with a $10 million prize pool. And what that means is we're no longer esports news. We are now worldwide news as Dota 2. And this means sponsors. You're talking about Logitech. You're talking, well, we already have Logitech. Why did I say Logitech? You're talking like Samsung. You're talking Volkswagen, which is actually working on picking up some teams. You're talking about Volvo, who's already participating in the little esports interactions because everyone was tweeting at Volvo. And those guys are great, by the way, for really humoring us as we were kind of doing the little typo tweets at Valve. At Volvo, fix your game, give, what was it, the Dire Tide, give Dire Tide. And Volvo's like, please Valve, just give them Dire Tide so we stop getting spammed. So Volvo's a great company. I'm sure they're certainly looking at Dota 2. When you're talking about $10 million and a worldwide viewing audience, why not back an esports team? You might be looking at Navi/Volvo instead of Fnatic.msi, it'll be Fnatic.volvo. And that might sound funny right now until you've got 5 guys on an esports team come rolling down the red carpet in the newest little Volvo car. And they park right up on stage and then they get out and sit in front of their computers. And you're like, dang, those guys just got a car, whether they win this tournament or not. It might just be one car. Maybe we'll give them 5 cars. I don't know. But you've got big companies. Maybe like General Electric buys up a esports team. Ford Motors, Toyota. What other big? Maybe we get some airlines. Now, airlines are always running tough on money. Their competition's too tight, and people like to flame the hell out. You know what we need? We need oil and gas, the energy companies. We need them to get into esports. We need the British Petroleum Dota 2 team. Because then you're talking about a company that's really got some money to pump into some sort of sports event where they can draw in the younger crowd. Hey, you need the young guys to quit flaming you about greenhouse gases. Why not sponsor a Dota 2 team? Why not win TI5 with a Dota 2 team? You know, things like that are going to come from being visible in the news. Dota 2 is going to grow by leaps and bounds following this international. And that means more competitive environments for us to play in. And also just as a pub player, you're going to have more people to interact with, which might be a bad thing. We already deal with enough where everyone's like, man, I always get retards on my team. Well, don't worry. There's 6 billion of them still to go that can always join Dota 2. And maybe we'll catch all of them. Maybe we won't. We'll have to wait and see. So that is WCS. What else do we have? WCS. ESL1 Frankfurt is coming up. $200,000 prize pool for Dota 2. I think this is supposed to be the last big tournament before TI4. Is that how it works? I think everyone's preparing for that. And along with ESL1 Frankfurt, I have some big news for you guys that just came out today. Technically today. It came out at midnight today. So way early this morning. And I'll go ahead and flop over to this because I don't want to spoil it with just saying it out loud. Again with the block. I don't want to block people. I just want to switch scenes. Clinton Loomis, aka FletchDota, landed in Sweden a couple of days ago. I'm officially coaching EG for ESL1 and TI4. Easy rares, boys and girls. Clinton Loomis, aka FletchDota, will be the official coach for EG going into ESL1 and TI4. He is not sitting on the sidelines. He is going to be sitting right there behind the players, yelling and screaming into their ears, going, Arteezy, stop feeding, get those creep scores. You're under 200 at 20 minutes. This is unacceptable. He's going to be like, what is the guy's name? 71, I think, that coaches the Chinese team. Yelling at him, man, my team's only a 6.5 out of 10 for DK. It's like, wow, what do you think a 10 is, man? This guy's crazy. He's a slave driver. That's what I hope to see from Fear. This guy knows so much about Dota. He got an injury where he can't play Dota for full duration of a LAN event without fear of setting off his arm and really inflaming it. That's how tendon injuries work. So if you're unfamiliar with tendon injuries, they have to fully heal or you make them worse, and they have risk of never healing if you really make them bad. So probably the smart decision, as painful as it was for him. I really appreciate EG for sticking with Fear as long as they have. They really support this guy, and I think that's amazing. So props to Fear. I really love the guy. I think he's an amazing player, and he knows so much about Dota 2. I think there's 3 players who know the most about Dota 2. That would be Fear, Ice, and Synderen. Now, people might flame me for Synderen, like, oh, Synderen's a bad player. Synderen's not the best player because he just can't execute on what he knows at 100%, but I don't think there's anybody that knows more about Dota 2 than Synderen does. This guy knows everything about Dota 2. If he says it, you should probably think about what you're hearing instead of just flaming him. Ice the same way, only the difference between Ice and Synderen is that guy's got amazing reflexes and can act on everything. He's like, guys, I got to eat a tango, and then I'll be 4 HP over the amount that they can kill me, and they're going to dive on me and think they can kill me, and I'm going to kill them both. And then you'll see it happen right after he says it. They'll dive on him, he'll live with 4 HP and get a double kill. And it's like, what the hell? How does this guy do it? It's that calculation. He just straight up calculates everything in the game because he knows so much. Fear's the same way. He's like the North American wizard. And he's coming to EG as their coach. I think they are definitely better off for not losing Fear, just sending him off to cast. He's an extremely influential part of the team, and I'm sure he's a big part of their morale. And I think his versatility is something that's definitely missing, but I really appreciate the fact that Mason has been able to step up lately and really fill... He hasn't been able to entirely fill Fear's shoes. What Fear can do with any hero in the game is really hard for anybody, I think, to come and fill in. But Mason's done a great job playing enough heroes that he's given Arteezy the versatility he needs in the mid lane. And then Universe, of course, is always a playmaker. You can always rely on Universe. That guy's like, hey, just give me Darkseer and I'll solo kill an entire team somehow with a vacuum and a wall. Like, wall mathematically doesn't do enough damage to kill everybody, but Universe just, he's like, oh, team wipe, no problem, guys. I don't know what the guy does, but he does it. So, really looking forward to Fear coming in as a coach. On top of that, we've got a few events that have just ended over the weekend. I want to go ahead and check those out. We, of course, the first one of those, actually not ended, but getting close. It's actually ending tomorrow. You should all check in on the versus being streamed on Twitch, twitch.tv/D2L. And recently, I guess I should have said spoiler alerts, guys, for those of you who haven't watched the games. So yeah, this whole segment right here is gonna be spoiling tournament results. I mean, that's what the news is about, right? Seeing how things have turned out. So don't flame me if you get spoiled by the news. We do have EG beating the Fnatic in round 3 of D2L. Na'Vi 2-0'd Fnatic as well. So it's gonna be EG versus Na'Vi. I think there should be a little nope, they actually got rid of it. There's a little date thing you can click that'll make the dates pop up, but this is tomorrow. This is tomorrow on D2L, so be sure to check that out. EG versus Navi. This is going to be a big send-off into ESL as we go into that, kind of seeing two top teams play against each other. And especially, it's going to kind of be a tell of how EG's form is with Mason going into the International 4. Alongside that, on the Eastern Front, DK defeated Newbie in a 5-game victory. I mean, it was 3-2 against Newbie for CDEC, which was the big... well, I don't know if I should call it big. It was a $10,000 tournament that happened in China here recently. It's been going on for quite a while. So those of you who haven't been watching it, Newbie actually beat DK, threw him down in the losers bracket, and they came back and crushed Newbie with a 3-2. I don't know if you call it crushed. Why do the finals of China always go to 5 games? It's like you go into China and all of these teams are just top teams and they're just clashing against each other, really just head on. And they're all, I think, how many top contenders are there in China for this #1 spot at TI4? You've got DK, you've got Newbie, you've got IG, you've got LGD. That's 4 teams just from China. And then from Western Dota, you got Alliance, Navi, Empire, I think, are the 3 biggest contenders. I don't think I missed one from Europe. Heaven forbid somebody flames me because I missed their favorite team. But those are the 3 I think people expect from Europe to do really well. And then you've got EG from North America. Yeah, we only have 1 team, but hey, I'm proud we finally have a team. The last 3 internationals, what have we had? A team that shows up and does really well in the group stages and then just gets knocked out instantly. It's like, well, what were you doing? But we've got a team this year, guys. We've got EG, and they are really high in the rankings. So we're doing really well right now for EG. I want them to win. I'm going to be honest. I'm a North American fanboy. I'm going to cheer for EG, even though I think DK is probably in the top form it's ever been with Ice on their team. He is my favorite player ever. But we're going to have to wait and see just how they do. You know, at the end of the day, DK might just get shut out by the aggressive plays coming out of Western Dota. That has proven to happen in the past few internationals. Sometimes Chinese Dota is a little bit too patient. So we'll wait and see. Maybe, just maybe, we'll have the first ever North American victory in international history. And I think it's been a long time coming for North America to really make a showing in Dota at all. I mean, that includes Dota 1. North American players have really played on European teams to really show up in the scene previous to this. So now we have a mostly North American team. We've got some Canadians, we got some US, and then of course we have Zai, the rogue Swedish guy that immigrated over. And I mean, he's got his green card. He's legal. He's not an illegal immigrant. And we love the guy. We accept him. He can be an American like everybody else. We'll just have to wait and see how he turns out. Speaking of that, though, guys, I do want to go over something. So speaking of EG and high rankings, I do have some Dota 2 rankings I want to go over. And this is what I'm talking about. You look at the Chinese team. So we'll start out with the Dota2.com rankings. There's a relatively new ranking that I found probably within the last week, but they've been doing a good job with their site. I really like this site, Dota2p.com. I definitely recommend checking them out. They've got some good news and statistics on their site that you can bounce around in. And I'm sure this site is relatively new, so I'm sure it's only going to get better from here. They've actually got their rankings split between East and West, which I think is pretty smart. But we've got Newbie actually #1 right now, followed by DK, followed by IG, followed by Vici, followed by LGD. And I mean, there's Titan and Arrow, but I don't really think Southeast Asia is very strong right now. They lost a lot of their players to some of these teams up here. You've got the Singaporeans that have migrated over to China, and it just took a lot of the steam out of Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, Western teams, EG, did I say Empire? I may have missed Empire, and I meant to say them. I'm sorry if I didn't say them. I meant to say Empire, Alliance, Na'Vi. I'm pretty sure I said that. Where's Na'Vi on this list? I guess they just haven't played enough recently. Now, EG, Empire, and then, of course, Mouse. Mouse is kind of one of those teams that people have been getting hyped about, but I think they're just too inconsistent because they're too new right now. They really need the vast experience from the higher levels of play. They've been struggling to keep their team maintained, and now that they've got Mouse Sports behind them, hopefully Mouse Sports doesn't do like they've done with every other team and ruin them. But if they don't, these guys certainly have a lot of potential to turn into a Tier 1 team. But as of right now, I think they're a little bit too shaky when it comes down to it to really clutch a TI4 victory. I think their strategy just needs a little bit more depth to get all the way through. Now, at the same time, I said the same thing about Alliance last year, and they just played the same strategy all the way through and, rolled right into the bank. So what can you say? On top of the D2P rankings, though, we will go over to the joindota.com rankings. I don't know how much I value these rankings, but they are just something that's always been there, so we'll go ahead and cover them. We've got DK number 1, Newbie number 2, EG actually number 3 right now. EG's been number 1 probably for the past 3 or 4 weeks, but with their dismal performance at DreamHack, I think they lost a lot of standing right off the bat from that. But they're still holding neck and neck with all these Chinese teams, and we've got actually Empire, Alliance, and Na'Vi right down there on number 11. So here's Na'Vi on the boards, and then followed up by LGD. These are very strong teams. I think they just haven't played as much as some of the other teams as of late, so they've lost a little standing doing that. So yeah, I mean, one thing to note with the DreamHack performance, EG apparently didn't even sleep the night before. They showed up on the plane and started playing pretty much. If the interview with Arteezy's any amount of correct. So assuming that he's not lying, which I don't see why he would lie. He doesn't seem like one to make excuses. EG played DreamHack with no sleep, and I am seriously not surprised that they got shut out doing that, because I start to play abysmally. Like, I think I'm bad most of the time, but then I play with no sleep, and I'm like, holy crap, I need to stop playing Dota, guys. It's way too late. Straight up feeding. And finally, of course, I think these are probably the most solid rankings. I really like the new algorithm Gosu Gamers has come up for their rankings. But the Dota 2 rankings for Gosu Gamers is Newbie and DK swapped. They've actually got Newbie on top, even though DK just beat Newbie. They're neck and neck. I mean, they're what 16 points apart, so it's nothing. And EG number 3, we're going to see how ESL 1 goes. EG certainly has the potential. I mean, they're only 70 points behind DK. They have the potential to actually take that number 1 spot, because they could certainly rack up 80 points at ESL 1. So we'll have to see. And then TI4 will really be the one that decides it. They've got Alliance down at number 5, Empire number 6, and Na'Vi number 7. So there you have it. These are, I think right here, the top 7 on Gosu Gamers is really the favorites. And you could say Vici, but Vici's kind of been struggling as of late, as has LGD. I still think LGD and Vici are pretty strong, but I think they're Fnatic strong, where they might stomp a team, but at the same time, they're kind of inconsistent. And it's kind of hit or miss when you go with them. Are they going to play really well this game, or are they just going to get crushed? So there you have it, guys. The rankings as of late, that covers, I think, most of the teams that are going into TI4 with a little bit of hype. On top of that, we do have a few more tournaments to get to. Of course, let's see, what is this? Gigabyte, GEST. I think that may have just ended. Yeah, it just ended the other day. Invictus Gaming actually beat out DK, who beat out Newbie. So, IG, even though it's like, oh man, DK and Newbie, IG is still a really strong team right now and has the potential to crush both of them. They beat out LGD in the semifinals 2-0. Newbie got crushed by DK, a 2-0 victory for DK there, and then IG beat DK 3-1. So it wasn't even a 5-game series, and DK and Newbie went to a full 5-game series, 3-2 DK for Newbie. So these teams are all still really close going into TI4. They're certainly showing that every single one of them is strong. They all have strategies that trump the other ones. And it's really a flip of the coin on who's going to win on any given day. I think that's what makes this TI4 so exciting going into it. Along with that, guys, I do have something I want to show you. This is really important. So LGD versus IG. This is kind of like the highlight of the day. I want to just point this out, and I'm going to go ahead and I don't want 2 up here. Can I copy paste this? I'm going to go ahead and give this link to you guys. You should all watch this. Burning lost his boots for like a good 3 minutes during one of the DK IG games today. And let's see, I've got my dashboard right here. I'll go ahead and post you guys the link. There you go. That's the YouTube link. You should certainly watch this. It's worth the watch. It is hilarious. Burning is like wandering around, and you're like, what's going on? But Burning losing his boots during DK versus IG. I think this is like the big play of the weekend. We're talking about weekend recap. This is it. This is the moment that defines the weekend. Because, I mean, it's Burning. You don't expect the guy to be making mistakes. He is so mechanical, and it's like perfect last hits. He doesn't do anything mistaken in between moving from point A to point B. He just makes these precise movements. Everything's calculated. And here he is wandering around through the woods. Hey guys, where's my boots? My brown boots. What happened to them? I don't know. Guys, my boots. Who took them? Ice Ice Ice, are you trolling me? And Ice 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 is probably like flaming the whole time in Singaporean. Is that even a language? Is Singaporean a language? I'm not entirely sure, but I'd like to think that it is. I would like to think that Singaporean is the language of Singapore. And if it's not, it should be. We should go to Singapore and we should create Singaporean, the language. And if it's not, somebody tweet at me what the real language of Singapore is, because I'd like to know that. I do like to learn new things. And, I wonder if that was the reason they lost the third game, because I see that it's 2-1 right now, DK versus IG. That is the third and final victory for IG in that game. Poor Burning was just out of it. He was so lost. I wonder what's wrong with the guy. It's a sad day. It's a sad day when your pros start to fall. Something coming up, something that's not quite finished. V Games will be wrapping up here shortly. I think tomorrow DK plays Speed.China, the Chinese speed gaming team, in a best of 3 to see who goes on to the finals to play against Newbie. I think IG will be playing the winner of that coming up after that. So DK, I don't know, guys. Do you really think Speed Gaming China is going to beat DK? Is that really a question? Yeah, they beat Tong Fu. Who cares? It's DK. I feel like it's going to be DK playing Newbie. Let's be honest. That's on the 25th of June is when DK will be playing Newbie. The 24th tomorrow, if you want to see the DK Speed Gaming match, go ahead and catch that tomorrow. And that's going to be for the V Games, the video games tournament. I'm sure is what V stands for. I mean, everybody's real original in esports. Look at me. FletchDota, your daily episode, right? So there you have it. And I think the final tournament that I caught wind of is the Gigabyte Challenge. Number 5 was actually just finished up by Mouse Sports, the new Mouse Sports squad. So, of course, that's Fada's team. That was Team Dog. Now they're Mouse Sports. For those of you who don't know what Mouse Sports is, the old Mouse Sports is now MYM, and the old Team Dog is now the new Mouse Sports. So these teams feel like they shuffle sponsors every few weeks, and maybe they do, but it's always grass is greener. I think at the end of the day, you find out, hey, if we win tournaments, we do well. If we don't, we get pooped on by everyone. So we might as well just stick with somebody and have a good time. They did beat out Navi North America to take that Gigabyte Challenge victory. So there you have it. That's going to be one of the matchups going into TI4. Navi North America, of course, that's North American Rejects, was picked up by Navi going into the International 4, which is pretty exciting for them. You got to imagine, it's like you're going into a big tournament, you get picked up by a sponsor, you're getting paid salaries now, you feel vindicated as a professional gamer, I think, once you start actually getting paid to play the video games rather than just living off the $1,000 earnings you might get at a LAN tournament here or there. But they did have a matchup against Mouse. They didn't get shut out. It was a 2-1 best of 3 in the finals, so Mouse Sports doing okay, doing their best. And not Mouse Sports, North American Rejects, Navi US, Navi North America, I think is their official term, because I believe they have some Canadians too. But 2-1, so they put up some fight, and maybe they'll put up some fight in the international. We'll have to see how they do in the group stages. I'd just like to see them not get shut out like MUFC did last year, because that was just embarrassing, guys. You show up at the international and go 0-15 and go right home. You don't want to do that. Not when you've got 1 million people watching you play. Yeah, I get it. There's a lot of pressure, but at least win one game. At least win one. So come on, Navi North America. I always enjoy watching Korok play. He's a very aggressive player. And now they've got Snaking too teamed up with him. Snaking, of course, being very good on these mid heroes when they just want him to farm heavy. And then when they need someone ganky mid, they rotate Korok in. So very versatile lineup. And I think if they're able to stick together for a year, which is something North American teams cannot do, but if they're able to stick together for a year, because of the salary from Navi, I feel like these guys could be a powerhouse next year that maybe competes with a lot of these tier 1 teams. So looking forward to Navi North America, and they're showing at TI4. I want them to stay together afterwards. Don't get depressed from their losses, and maybe we'll have something to look forward to throughout the upcoming year from them. So then I'll have 2 North American teams to cheer for. And maybe Team Liquid will figure their their stuff out, and maybe I'll have 3 teams to cheer for from North America. And that'll be the most teams I've ever had to cheer for in games. I mean, most of the time it's like, yeah, you want to cheer for the North American team, but you know they're going to lose. You know it deep down inside. You can't lie to yourself that much. On top of that, going into this last week, we're going to do the week recap of last week's heroes. I want to go ahead and show you guys through the last tournaments. We've got, of course, the professional stats. This is courtesy of datdota.com. We've got the professional stats of the last week's worth of tournaments, the top played heroes. Of course, Mirana coming in number 1. She has just been almost, it feels like 100% pick ban every single game. And so 80 games played in the last week, more than any other hero in the pool. 56% win rate, which is nothing to frown at. I mean, that's a significant advantage in any pub. If you're able to get a 56% win rate across the board on a hero, it means the hero is probably getting nerfed in the next patch. So 56% win rate in competitive Dota for Mirana. Very strong carry right now. People just love her. They've lapped her up in the TI4 qualifiers in every single region. That's what I was surprised about. I was like, oh, North America loves Mirana right now. Nope, Europe, China, Southeast Asia, everybody loves Mirana right now. She's just so versatile from her early game, mid game, and late game. She brings so much to a team, as well as utility for the team fights with her ultimate, being able to set things up. Following up to that, Tidehunter, actually a popular pick. Recent changes to Anchor Smash, where he can Anchor Smash Ancients now, because it is a physical spell. That never made sense to me that it didn't work. Now it works. You've got Tidehunter stacking Ancients and farming up that fast Blink Dagger, just like a Sand King does in the jungle. The only guy that's lacking in that is the Earthshaker. Why can't Earthshaker farm a fast Blink Dagger? Why can't he stomp and it does like his next attack does some cleave on it? That would make him kind of overpowered, huh? We'd have carry Earthshakers running all over the place with Daedalus one-shotting entire teams without even having a Battle Fury. It's already bad enough when you got the guy that's going to go, oh, carry Earthshaker, and he's like getting the Battle Fury and the Daedalus and the Shadow Blade, and you're like, dang it, we're going to lose. But he gets off that one crit and one-shots one guy, and then you lose every team fight anyways. So it's like, okay, good job, Earthshaker, but at least you had some fun for that one crit. We do have Tidehunter coming in, which is fun. I mean, when I first started Dota 2 back in 2011, everybody played Tidehunter all the time, and mostly offlane, because he was like the only initiator in the game. It was like him or Sand King, and Tidehunter's ulti was so much better because he didn't need a Blink Dagger for it, and Sand King didn't have a way to really farm up Blink Dagger like he does now with the Sandstorm being super buffed. But we've got Tidehunter. He's up to 59 games in the past week, and I'm sure it's only going to go stronger. So we're going to see lots of Tidehunter coming back into Dota 2. Shadow Demon's been pretty popular. Even with the low win rate, it's like it feels like Shadow Demon always gets crushed, and he feeds, and he just, you know, everyone wants to eat a Shadow Demon. He's the squishiest guy in the game. But I don't know, people still love him. He sets up a lot of those spells too easily, especially when Mirana is so popular. I think that's the big thing. And it's kind of interesting that you've got a 56% win rate on Mirana. Shadow Demon's almost always picked with the Mirana team, but he's only got a 47% win rate. There's just a huge disparity there. So Shadow Demon's still popular. Doom, of course, because he's Doom. Is Doom ever not going to be popular? I mean, he just presses R, and you got one guy that's going to be annoyed for the rest of the game, because you know, like Doom players, they don't come into Dota and go, I want to play a fun game of Dota. They go, who am I going to ruin the life of today? Oh, you want to play and have fun on Invoker? No, I'm going to play Doom, and I'm going to press R on you all game long. And you are just going to hate your life, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. And whether I win or lose this game doesn't matter. I am going to make your life miserable. And that's pretty much the essence of Doom. Alongside the high picks of Doom, though, you get a high amount of picks in the Rubik. And I think this is entirely because, what are these heroes about? Tidehunter, Mirana, Doombringer? Ultimates. Let's take them. Pick Rubik. And of course, tied with number 5 is Brewmaster 46, and that's going to be the same thing for Rubik. He loves to take Brewmaster ultis. As soon as he comes out of Panda, a lot of times Brewmasters come out of their ultimate form, the Primal Split, without any mana, and Rubik's like, presses R, and then you got little Rubik pandas running around. That's the last thing you want to do to your team. Don't give your enemies Rubik a Panda ulti. Please don't. I can't just cover the professional stats though, guys. I can't do that. As much as I want to on the little Monday weekend recaps, I can't do it. We got to go to Dota Buff. We got to cover your pub stats for the last week. And as always, number 1 most played in Dota 2, Pudge. I don't think there's a more fun hero to play in the game than Pudge. You could be feeding, but you land one hook and you're like clapping and patting yourself on the back and yelling over your mic, see guys, I can land a hook. And everyone's flaming you like, you always miss hook, Pudge. You're the reason we lose. Even though it's like, guys, y'all don't have any skill shots. You literally just right-click heroes all game long, number 2 sniper. But then following that up, it looks like we got Mirana. People have been watching the pro games. They're going to be picking Mirana. We always have the Invoker pub stars, you know, like, yeah, I'm going to be Invoker. First item, Aghanim Scepter. I'm going to cast all the spells. And then they cast Cold Snap all game long. You never see anything else come out. I've never understood that. It's okay to be the 2-spell Invoker. I don't mind that. Don't waste 4k gold on the Aghanims. If you're going to be the 2-spell Invoker, just go straight Refresher and cast those 2 spells twice. Then you're good to go. Or get a Scythe of Vice, and then maybe you can hex somebody along the way. Phantom Assassin, another popular one. I think this is Arteezy's fault. Maybe Eternal MB. Which one do you want to blame? Either one. Blame one of those guys. Phantom Assassin mid, really popular right now. And then, of course, Bloodsuka and Ricky, the number 1 pub stompers in the world. And Axe is just fun to play. On top of that, something new that's come out. Dotametrics.files.wordpress.com. They've started compiling 1v1 matchups for the 1v1 system that just got added in Dota 2 this last week. Number 1 1v1 pub stomper is Broodmother. Oh no, who would have figured? The hero with free invis and a lot of regen in a 1v1 matchup who can just harass down enemy heroes has a 71% win rate in 1v1s. So we have Broodmothers just going against each other, battling it out. And yeah, if you see the enemy pick, just pick Broodmother every game, guys. 71% win rate. Follow that up with Bane with a 68%. I mean, you've only got to get 2 kills, so pick somebody with some nukes, early nukes, and you're good to go. And here you have it. So top 5, Broodmother, Bane, Templar Assassin, Shadow Shaman, and Death Prophet. Now, something I thought was interesting going into these 1v1 matchups, the most played hero is Shadow Fiend. So as much as his win rate, let's see, where's Shadow Fiend on the win rates chart? He's down here. He's only got a 49% win rate in 1v1s, but there's a big pride issue, I think, for people that play Shadow Fiend. Everybody that does, like, oh, 1v1 me, it's always a Shadow Fiend matchup. And so, like, all the Dota 1 people coming into Dota 2 that are going to play these 1v1s, it's a pride issue that's on the line. You've got to play Shadow Fiend in a 1v1, and you've got to beat your team. Like, or you have to beat the enemy. You have to crush them as Shadow Fiend to really vindicate yourself as a 1v1 mid player. So, Shadow Fiend, most picked in 1v1s, not the highest win rate. If you want to win, pick Broodmother. If you want to be honorable and really feel proud of yourself, pick Shadow Fiend and win the game. Pub Player of the Week, or do I call him that? I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to call him Pub Player of the Week. I want to call him Pub Player of the Year, because this guy has managed to earn himself a place in professional Dota purely by crushing the European ladders. And I'm talking about Excalibur. You saw him pop up in the summit. A lot of you guys are like, who the hell is this guy? He started ringing for Fnatic. They lost Era. He's gone all summer. I don't know exactly what's wrong with him. I don't know if that's been announced. That's something I could look into. Maybe for tomorrow I'll get back to you with it if I find something out. But Era's gone all summer, just like Fear is. We're not going to see any cute little Era playing for Fnatic Dota. What we are going to see is Excalibur filling in for him, the 6,900 MMR player entered the professional scene for the summit. Here's you a nice little picture of him. There you are, drinking a Red Bull that he pulled out of the Beyond the Summit fridge. Excellent plays from him on Tinker. I think that's what I've got as a highlight here. Excalibur Tinker, if you want a good little highlight video of that, let me go ahead and link that for you guys right down here. And I mean, that's where he really made his debut. His Tinker was just crushing everybody. I watched him solo the entire team and force GGs out. So Excalibur, top tier player. Not exactly consistent yet. It's really apparent that he's new to the meta, is what I'll say. He's brand new to the meta. He hasn't played competitive like a lot of these players have. So you can really find flaws in his armor. But when he gets off, this guy absolutely snowballs and dominates the game. And I think with a lot more experience in professional Dota 2, this guy's going to be one of the top names in Dota 2. I mean, he's brand new. And he's already playing at that level. That's not something a lot of people can say. So really excited for Excalibur coming into Dota 2. That's going to be my player spotlight for Monday today. I just kind of wanted to highlight one player from the last week. And I know it's a little farther back, but Excalibur's right there on my mind. So I wanted to go ahead and give him a shout out. Good job by Excalibur. On top of that, I wanted to give a little bit of time to the community of Dota 2. Somebody who I think does a great job in Dota 2, K-Poptosis. A lot of people don't even know that this guy's actually been participating in Dota 2 for a lot longer than the last you've seen him popping up. I think we started to see him on camera probably in the last 3 months, but the guy's been around forever doing these stats. The little pop-ups I think that came up during TI3, most of those in English were him, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He was basically doing every single game. So the guy never quits. He's been doing stats for so long, and he does a great job. If you guys ever notice those teamfight recaps that pop up after teamfights that are like, this is what abilities were used, this is how long the teamfight went, this is what heroes died, who bought back, the gold change, the experience change, that's all K-Poptosis. That's like his babies that he's been pumping out into the recent Beyond the Summit streams. And I think that is a great improvement that their stream has that nobody else does. For all the flaws I might find with any of the streamers, his teamfight recaps look amazing, and there's something that I wish I knew how to do because I would love to have those every single time. Along with that, he's recently put out an interview and a few questions he went over that I wanted to go ahead and read a little bit of excerpts from. Something he's coming out with, he's talking about heat maps currently available publicly through DatDota. For those of you who don't know what heat maps are, it's basically you put a tag on someone and draw a line wherever they walk the entire game. And if you just let these heroes draw their lines for the entire duration of the game, you end up with areas where they walked the most. And you can look at different times, like 0 to 10 minutes. This is where the support heroes were for the majority of the game. And it lets you really understand a team's movements if you're able to properly process them. DatDota releases heat maps right now, is what he says. But the problem is they're processed after the game. K-Poptosis is working on a way to do those during the game so you can start to get movement patterns of supports while they're playing. So he can give you live feedback from those heat maps. I don't know exactly how that's going to come out, but I'm excited about that. I think that's pretty awesome because I didn't even realize that was something to think about. He also goes into kind of the idea behind stats, something I really liked, and I'm just going to kind of ad-lib this. They were asking him, when do you post stats that contradict what the caster is saying, and when don't you? And something he brought up, for example, I was just pointing out Shadow Demon's low win rate. Merlini, he used Merlini specifically, might say Shadow Demon is good versus Batrider, and he could pop up a stat saying actually Shadow Demon has a win rate of 44% versus Batrider, but that's not beneficial to the cast because what that doesn't account for is even though Shadow Demon has a win rate of 44% versus Batrider, Shadow Demon has a low win rate overall, Batrider has a high win rate overall. So sometimes the stats, just straight up stats, don't actually convey the meaning that you're trying to get across. And I think that's something important for you guys to take away from his interview, which I will be linking into the stream, the interview that I'm kind of taking excerpts from so you guys can read the full thing. I'll go ahead and link that right now if you guys want to check it out. There you go. There's the interview. It is from dota.2p.com, one of the little websites I was plugging just a little bit ago. I really like this website. They're a brand new up and coming website, and I think they're going to do really well if they stick with their current format. But basically what he says is in that sort of situation, he would go with what Merlini has to say because that 44% is representative of Shadow Demon rather than the specific matchup versus Batrider, Merlini actually understands the individual hero matchup because of his experience as a player. That Shadow Demon versus that Batrider has a really good chance of stopping the Batrider's initiation because of how Disruption works against Lasso. So he would not post something that contradicted Merlini in that sense. He might post something in the sense that if they were talking about high win rates on a hero, he might post an exact win rate to spur a discussion. And the only time he would actually want to contradict the caster is if they're just saying something that's flat out wrong, not something that's subjective. If they're talking about opinions, there's no reason to disrupt because he's not there to argue with the casters. He's not there to be center stage. He's there to support them and enhance the viewing experience. So this guy actually has a lot of wisdom in the things he says. It's definitely worth the read. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, guys, with that, I think that covers pretty much everything I had to say. That's just about an hour of news experience for you here on Monday. What is this? June 23rd, 2014. This is FletchDota episode 1. I am Fletch. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at FletchDota. And of course, follow me on Twitch so you know when I'm live. I will be going live every single evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So about 1 hour before now, whatever time that is, in whatever time zone you find yourself in, whatever real time is for you. For me, that's 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is a U.S. time zone that runs right down the middle of Chicago and Houston. I, of course, live in Houston, and I will be coming to you live every single weeknight. Not weekends. I'll take Saturday and Sunday off. I'll probably play games on those nights, and I might stream them. I do a lot of game streaming sometimes. So follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. That's going to be the easiest way to find me live. Most importantly, I want to hear back from you guys. This was my first episode. This is something I've been working on for a good bit now, almost a month, because of some delays that I didn't recognize that popped up along the way. I've overcome those delays now, and here we are, ready for production. So any sort of feedback you have, something you want to hear about in Dota 2 news, something you think could be improved upon, something you think could be changed, something you didn't like, even if it's just me that you don't like, you're like, hey, get somebody else to cast the show. That's fine. That's valid criticism. Be free to just throw anything at me through Twitch messages, through my Gmail, masterfletch@gmail.com, or just tweet it at me. I'd love to hear from you on Twitter as well. I try and keep up with that on top of just tweeting out when shows are live. I try and read my notifications as well. And stick around after the show if you want to chat with me. I'll go ahead and end the show here officially, but I'll be here for a little bit of viewer interaction before we actually